Hey, what's going on, guys? Battle Emperor here, back today with another video. And today we have a video request. In the previous video, I got a request to do animals, particularly legendary animals and adult animals, and I couldn't think of a better place to do the background footage for the map than Boar Badlands. This brings back quite a few memories. I imagine it does for most Battle Nations OGs. I spent way too much time here, mainly training up my wimps and also just grinding for gold early on. But this is, of course, where you would find most of your boars. I'm not entirely sure what this vehicle is doing right here. Can I sell it? Yep, I can sell it. And here we are. Yeah, the Boar Badlands. Just, wow. I really hope we get some of these old Battle Nations map back because, man, they are extremely nostalgic. But yeah, as mentioned, today we'll be doing animals and discussing their place in the game. And without further ado, let's just jump right into today's discussion video. So, discussing Battle Nations animals, I think I I guess I would definitely say a bias because when I first started playing Battle Nations, I'm not gonna lie, I legit thought the animals were one of the coolest things. I was obsessed with Pokemon as a kid, and I'll never forget. While I did start playing Battle Nations like really hard on the first Halloween, I had it downloaded on my iPod Touch at the time. That really goes to show you the era we were in. I had it downloaded on my iPod, and I was at Disney World, and on the downtime, I would load up the app and just check around, really just fooling around with it. And I remember texting one of my friends, and he told me, believe it or not, those animals you're fighting you can get, which I thought was insane. And of course, all you would need to build these animals was teeth. That was the main resource, like every animal required from boars to raptors, and I had to get to level 10. Fortunately, I couldn't do that while at Disney. I ended up putting the game away from us my visit there, and eventually just ended up coming back and getting level 10 when I got back home, mainly during that first ball strike, that October ball strike, which was my first ball strike. So again, I definitely am a bit biased. I just want to get that out of the way. But with that being said, it is my personal opinion that I think no other battle game slash fighter game has really done animals better than Battle Nations. Battle Nations had a very unique system with how they did their animals, particularly how they did their animal types. So in Battle Nations, all types of animals there were boars, which of course you find them here at the Boar Badlands, raptors, which were these little guys down here in this cage right here, raptors, sandworms, which were these giant, massive worms. Basically, think the sandworms out of Star Wars series. That's basically what you're dealing with here. And then finally, you have the spider wasps, which were added a bit later on. You didn't see too terribly much of them, but they definitely were a hindrance to some later players. Some people liked them, some people didn't like them. I thought they were a fun addition to the game. And then finally, the last two, Bigfoots, which were very obscure to a lot of players. A lot of people players don't even know that Bigfoots were in the game, unfortunately. And then even more obscure than Bigfoots, we have fish. Yes, fish were added to Battle Nations, Battlefish, and they were added in the naval update, unfortunately, just because that was, of course, the last major update and how close it was to the end of the game. Not a lot of players know about them, but yes, there were actual tameable fish in the game Battle Nations. So yeah, those were the main official, units and, battle troops, if you will. But even though those were, your official units, they had all types of different variations. Those variations being the young, the standard, if you will, we can call it the standard, like normal, elder, which was normally just a more advanced version of standard. So think about like a patriarch boar or a elder raptor, basically just a stronger version of, the base build. And then finally, a very later on, but much more overpowered than all previous three, you had legendary animals. Legendary animals were added later on, and they were not based to the game. Younglings were based to the game, but they cost nanopods. So most people did not train young animals because, they cost nanopods, and to be fair, they're the worst animal by far. The only reason I could even guess you'd want to spend nanopods on these guys is, oh wow, that for a second I thought I was off the lock. The game got a little scared there. But yeah, the only reason I think you'd want young animals is just simply for, I guess, the look of them. But I never understood that, again, since they cost nanopods. Standards were by all means your basic cannon fodder. They are definitely what you would train the most of. Standard would cost some gold and teeth to get standard battle raptors like you see right here. Standard imperial boars like you would see right here in these little tents, if I could select them. Right here you can see a standard battle raptor biting the fence, and those are standard imperial boars. So those would be what the standards would look like. They would not cost nanopods. They would just cost some teeth and some gold. And for what they were extremely useful units. Again, they were basically just the animals you fought, except now on your team. Then there was a limited edition event back in 2013 for one weekend where you could train elder animals. You could train elder raptors. They were called matriarch boars. I want to make sure I tried to get all the names right. And then, of course, adult sandworms, which were just called adult sandworms because teenage sandworms were the only ones you could train in barracks. And then, of course, adult or matriarch mammoths. So for that one weekend, you could literally get just the most broken OP units you could possibly imagine. Very useful. However, it did kind of create, I guess, say a distaste because I mean, these were just elder animals and elder units that you would fight all the time, and here they were limit locked. You could only get them for a limited edition of time. A little bit of discontent there, but nothing too crazy. And by all means, it made the elder animals extremely cool. I mean, compared to the rest of the game, they certainly weren't the most powerful units. But I mean, heck, if you had an adult sandworm or matriarch boar or matriarch mammoth or an elder raptor, well, congratulations, that's a trophy unit. It looks extremely cool and it's limited edition, so booyah. However, that would pale in comparison to the legendary animals. The legendary animals, of course, would be released later on. They included the legendary boar, the legendary raptor, the legendary sandworm, and of course, the big mama himself, the legendary mammoth. Now, these units were beyond overpowered. I mean, literally, the legendary mammoth had a move called Roar, or I'm sorry, it wasn't called Roar. It was it roaring. That's what it was. And this attack literally hit everything on the battlefield and had a chance to stun anything it didn't immediately kill. And that was one of its attacks. And it took not three, 6 turns to recharge. And if you didn't like, if you considered you wanted to just, really go powerful in the game, you didn't like having to wait, you could get 6 legendary mammoths, put them all in the back, and now you can roar every single, turn. And that was considered some, the best boss strike sweeps because seriously, you just go in there, roar with, 6 legendary mammoths nonstop, maybe put some mega tanks up in the front, tank damage, and you're good. Oh my goodness, I've actually soft locked the game. Well, that's not quite what you want to see, but I'm going to try to solve it while I finish the last bit of discussion like I wanted to do. So yeah, legendary animals were added later on into the game. They could basically just do anything a standard animal could do and infinitely better. The two by far most broken were the legendary mammoth and the legendary boar. Completely destroyed the freaking fracking game. They were beyond overpowered. And despite being, I guess you could say, beyond overpowered and kind of putting even the elder animals to shame, they were beloved by the community by all means. They, of course, cost nanopods like the elders did during their limited edition event. They completely put the elders to shame. Now, what I want to end this video on and what I want to leave the question to you being is what was the balance animals hit? What was their peak? And how should we look at them going forward? In my opinion, I think the three, the younglings, the standards, and the elders was kind of the peak of animals, if you will, in Battle Nations. The only two things I would argue that needed to be changed was the fact that younglings cost nanopods. That was complete BS. I mean, seriously, they were terrible in battle. The only reason I could argue anybody justifying ever spending money on younglings was just simple factor if you liked how younglings looked. But again, that couldn't justify them in a battle sense. Standards, of course, were your basic. I felt they were perfect. They cost teeth. You need to be, not you can't train them immediately early on, but you gotta hit level 10. Play the game a little bit, and there's still a cool little prize. And then elders. The second change, I would say maybe elders shouldn't have been limited edition. I, of course, had the benefit of getting some adult sandworms. I talked about them in my very first video. They were my prized possession. And while I did love them, I can certainly see I guess you could say, the upset of some players not being able to get adult animals for the entirety of the game. So maybe to an extent, I feel they should be maybe not trainable forever, but recyclable. I think some players put it very well in my previous comment section when talking about limited edition units. Maybe just have some cycles. I feel the adult animals, the mammoth boars and the matriarch mammoths and boars, and then the elder, raptors. Maybe don't have them trainable all the time. Maybe have them for some events. But you definitely need to cycle them out because you see them in the game all the time, and they're nothing too terribly insane. They just they're elder animals. They're stronger versions of animals. So I think it'd be cool to maybe have them not be trainable all the time. They certainly should be recycled out for all players, I personally believe. And then finally, legendary animals. I think it would be awesome if we brought legendary animals back. And the only thing I would say is make them less OP. Maybe bring back the power scale a little bit on them. but maybe also keep them limited edition, because I feel legendary animals, if you're going to justify any animal being limited edition, would definitely be legendary animals, because they were so cool. They were literally had legendary in the name. They were super powerful. Maybe drag back their power a little bit, release them one more time limited edition. Don't release them all at once. Do maybe one event for the mammoth, one event for the bull, kind of like they did with the actual legendary animals, and keep them limited edition. So that would be my take. I'd say do all of that. Keep the make the younglings actually cost less than the standards, and certainly not nanopods. Keep standards as they were, because they were just practically perfect in my opinion. Elders, maybe keep them limited edition for a while, but cycle them out. So not truly limited edition, just keep them seasonal, if you will. I think that's the correct word for it. And then finally, legendaries. I personally would love to see them come back. Just maybe not as powerful, but still limited edition. So yeah, that's all my takes for this video. By all means, I would love to hear your guys' opinion and down in the comments down below. Tell me what you guys think about animals in general. Tell me if you think there should be some reworks in your opinion. Do you think legendary animals should come back at all? And if they should they be less powerful? Maybe even the same power rating, maybe more powerful? And should they be limited edition in your opinion? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. And also, by all means, please throw out some video requests for me. I'd love to do any Battle Nations video you guys would think of. Whether it be some more unit types, whether we talk about buildings, anything Battle Nations you can think of, leave a comment down below, and I would love to cover it. But anyway, guys, that will do it for us today, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video all the way through. If you liked it, please consider dropping a like down below and subscribing to the channel if you are new. And that will do it for us today, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, have a great rest of your day.